With 2024 literally just around the corner, let's start this year right. It can be so hard as artists to spot and overcome artistic burnout, and it's so difficult to prepare for. Nobody really expects it to happen to them, especially when so many of us are setting our goals and expectations about how we expect this next year to be. I know I've missed the signs of burnout before, and getting yourself out of it takes so much longer than getting into it. So I'm here to talk about 5 ways you can spot artistic burnout and 10 ways that you can overcome it. Before we get into that though, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's been so supportive of my small business and blown up my social media over these crochet hoods I made. I genuinely didn't expect anything close to the amount of love that I got for them, and honestly I'm just so happy that you all love them so much. I do plan on doing monthly drops for these hoods, and I will also be opening my commissions on the 13th and the 28th of every month so that everyone has a bit of a chance to get one. If you're interested in getting yourself one, the best way to stay up to date and get notified when the drop goes live is to join my newsletter, and I'll pop a link in the description for you. So before you start setting your goals and New Year's resolutions, let's prepare ourselves to know exactly what we're looking for when it comes to avoiding and overcoming artistic burnout. Let's get into it! So how do you know if you're in burnout? It can be pretty hard to spot when you're in the middle of it, but here are some signs that I look out for and how you can recognize them in yourself. And if you do spot some of these signs in yourself at the moment, that's okay. Keep watching to the end to learn how to get yourself out of burnout and start doing what you love again. One of the first signs for me is realizing that I just don't want to create art. Like, I just don't have the energy. I've got no drive to get started. I'll find myself planning to draw or to paint, and then I'll just end up procrastinating the entire day away. And you might still feel the desire to create art, but the drive just isn't there. You'll find yourself scrolling for hours on TikTok, or even just staring into space, telling yourself that you'll start in 5 minutes, but 5 minutes becomes an hour becomes a day, and it just keeps getting worse. Before you know it, the day is over, and you'll do it all over again tomorrow. You know when you just want to create, and it's annoying you that you can't make what you want to because you just don't have the drive. You just don't have the energy or the willpower to just get down and do it. Don't blame yourself. That is okay. That happens to all of us. And we all have to learn to overcome it in our own way. You know when you just don't want to create art because you just don't feel like it's going to be good enough, it's not going to be quite what you expected or what you envisioned? That's a sign. Self-doubt and imposter syndrome is a really big one. For me, it's super clear when I'm sitting down to try and sketch, but nothing is looking the way I want it to. Nothing looks like it does in my head. But my drawings, my sketches just don't look right, and I end up forgetting to trust the process. It might make you not want to create art because it won't be perfect. It won't be exactly what you envisioned. Sometimes I also feel this as a marker of feeling burned out by social media. I start putting more pressure on myself to create perfect art so that I can post it, and I won't allow myself to post anything that isn't absolutely perfect. The self-doubt pushes you into a mindset of just not even wanting to try because you just know you won't get it right. That's the point when the next sign starts to set in, and that's dreading creating art. This is about that moment when you realize you just don't get any joy anymore from art. You feel the pressure to do it anyway, whether it's put on by yourself or by outside sources, but you just begin to dread the process. You'll put it off and put it off and put it off, and when you finally start drawing or painting again, you just don't feel anything for it. For me, this feels like a numbness. It always feels very similar to the way that depression is described. It's something that I found can be very difficult to explain to non-artists, because for us, art is something that's always brought us joy and peace and comfort, and all of a sudden it just doesn't anymore. Sometimes it feels like that feeling, that dread, that numbness will just never end. It feels like you just won't feel joy from creating art ever again. It doesn't have to stay that way. The next stage I find is frustration and irritation. You know when you're feeling all of those previous signs and then a friend or a family member asks you what you're working on at the moment? That feeling, that frustration, that anger, that irritation, that's what I'm talking about here. The numbness and the emptiness is kind of past at this point. And when you start to think about art, you start to feel angry. You feel frustrated that you can't do what you used to do. Irritated that you can't get your ideas into a physical form. It's not just that creating art, something that you used to love, no longer brings you joy. Now it actively makes you feel bad. And the final way to spot burnout, I find, and this one can stick around for a long time, is jealousy and comparison, comparing yourself to other artists. You start to feel jealousy when you're scrolling through the feeds of artists that you admired. You're not feeling inspired by them anymore like you used to. You're envious of the fact that they can do what you can no longer do. You find yourself comparing your work to theirs and concluding that yours just isn't good enough. Yours just isn't what you want it to be. You start comparing your following and your engagement to what they have. You get frustrated that they have a style that you want and you are not there yet. It feels almost shameful to have these reactions to artists that used to inspire and motivate you, but it happens when you're in burnout. It's okay, but now that you've spotted it, it's time to learn to climb out. So how do we overcome it? How do we rediscover our love of art and the joy in creating? I know it feels hopeless right now, like you'll never get out of it and things will never change, but you can overcome it, and here is how. Above all, and you're not gonna like this, rest. You don't have to be creating art every single day to be an artist. I know that social media these days really pushes very constant content all the time. It doesn't have to be that way. As artists these days, we often find that we need to be much more than just an artist, especially if you're selling your work. We need to be accountants, advertisers, content creators. But it's equally important to give yourself time to allow your creativity to recharge. And when I say rest, I don't mean spend that time doing admin or working on advertising or doing other things that aren't just drawing. No, stop. Your worth is not defined by your productivity, and not posting for a couple of days, a couple of weeks will not kill your following. I know how scary it is to step away from creating, especially when you've built your community on constantly creating and constantly posting, and there's this fear that if you step away, they're gonna leave. They're not gonna leave. And anyone who does is not worth your time anyway. And you will find people who will love you in the meantime, who will come into your community and be a part of it and appreciate the fact that you're taking breaks. I want you to set yourself an amount of time that you won't be creating art for. Make it a week, 2 weeks, a month. If you want your followers to be aware, you can let them know, but you don't have to. I do think it's really important to normalize taking social media breaks though, so do with that what you will. Once you set that time, I want you to make a list. Write a list of all the things that you'd like to do that are not art related. Maybe there's a new video game that you've really wanted to try, a new hobby that you'd like to start, or maybe a show that you've wanted to watch and you just haven't had time for. That is what you will be doing in this downtime. There's no pressure to keep creating art and creating content when you're just not feeling it. Take a break. It is okay to rest. You need it more than you think. Write down everything in your head right now. Everything. Make it a stream of consciousness. It does not have to make sense. Write down everything that you're thinking and feeling during burnout. This is just for you. Nobody else is going to see it. This process allows you to sift through your feelings and your emotions and just let them go and open up more space in your soul for creativity. While you're at it, include your goals, your desires, and your wants when it comes to your art. What do you want to create and how do you want to feel when you're creating it? Give yourself the space to explore these thoughts and these feelings. Stop comparing yourself to others. I know. That sounds way easier than it actually is. It's so hard not to cross that line between being inspired by another artist and comparing yourself to them. But it's so important to remember that social media is a highlights reel. You don't see everything that goes on behind the scenes. You might be looking at another artist feeling frustrated that they have such an iconic art style and that's not something that you have. But that artist, for all you know, may be trying to move in a different direction with their art and they feel stuck creating art that is the style that gained them their following. We all discover and learn things at different paces, and that is okay. There's enough space for all of us. A step that you can take if you're finding yourself constantly comparing yourself to others on social media is to take a social media break. No more scrolling through Instagram or TikTok. You can't compare yourself to them if you can't see them. If you don't want to take a full social media break, because I know that that is quite a daunting thing to do, you can unfollow other artists. It's okay to do that as well. Even if you're not intending to compare yourself to them, subconsciously it can happen anyway. Because you're constantly seeing what you perceive as their success that is better than yours. It's time to unfollow those artists and start focusing on you and your art. Create what you love, not just what sells. If you spend all of your time creating art that doesn't truly inspire you, you're gonna get bored and you will get frustrated and you'll fall into burnout. I've been there, and I think a lot of other artists have. When I first started selling my art, I was desperately trying to create the kind of art that I knew people wanted to see. I was ignoring my own inspiration and the things that spoke to me, and I was just creating things that I knew would sell. And it worked. It did sell, but I did not enjoy it, and I ended up feeling burned out and uninspired so fast. It's easy to get caught up and stuck drawing something like fan art that starts to feel repetitive after a while. It can be scary to stop because you're afraid that you'll lose your following. But the problem here is that you're building a following of people who aren't necessarily fans of you and your work. They are fans of the subject of the artwork that you're creating. Create the art that inspires and drives you, the art that speaks to you. It may happen a little bit slowly, but you will begin to cultivate a community of people who love you and your unique work and your style. Just because you've created something that sells well does not mean that you should become a factory for selling that one thing. Take a social media break. This is something I've touched on when it comes to comparing yourself to others, but on a different note. This is something I've talked about a bit with Kirsty on Art Content 101, which you can check out with the link in the description. But it's so important to not get caught up in the social media grind. There's this expectation that to be successful, we have to post all the time. Multiple forms of social media, multiple times a day. 3 TikTok videos a day, 10 Instagram stories, a reel, 2 posts. It's just too much. It's not a realistic expectation, and not only do you not have to do it to be successful, but I don't think you should. I've seen so many people, like marketing gurus, really push the idea of constantly posting, but a lot of people seem to mix up the concept of constancy and consistency. Yes, it's important to be consistent, but that does not necessarily mean posting every single day. Just don't do it. Even if you gain views and you gain followers, think about what you're trading away to get that. It is not worth your own well-being. You can still grow on social media while allowing yourself time off. Take a break. It will still be there when you come back. I've said it before, and I'll say it again, make bad art, but even better, keep an imperfect sketchbook. We see so many beautiful curated sketchbooks online, but that is not what I'm talking about. I mean a messy sketchbook, one full of cluttered or even unfinished pages. It's messy, it's disorganized, but it's also full of the raw joy of creating, that joy that you're losing. This sketchbook isn't something that you need to show anyone. Ever. You don't have to post it on social media, you don't even have to show your family. This sketchbook is yours alone. And if you don't feel inspired to draw anything, grab a stick of charcoal and just scribble. Fill a page with scribbles. It doesn't matter what's in it. The goal of this sketchbook is to allow your body to feel that desire to create again. It doesn't have to look good. It is not supposed to look good. Make it really messy. Make it bad. Do art challenges. I don't mean the big ones. I don't mean the post a piece every single day for a month challenges. Not those. You're not ready for those right now. My favorite kinds of art challenges for when I'm feeling artistic burnout is draw this in your style challenges. They give you a subject to draw, which takes away one of the worst parts about starting a piece of art. I find that when I'm in burnout, thinking of something to draw is one of the hardest things. If I've got something in front of me, it's easier to get started. Other great challenges are just anything that give you a prompt to work from. I love the Instagram page WT Prompt. They have some of the best prompts I've ever seen, and there's a new one every day, so you could just do one of those a day for like a week, and you might start to feel that inspiration just creeping back in slowly. Maybe now's a good time to start investing time in other creative things. Try something you've never tried before. Take a pottery class, try water marbling, try acrylic pour art, try glass blowing. It's great to try being creative in a way that you're not used to. It can wake up your creativity without the pressure that we tend to put on ourselves when we're doing something we're used to. You don't have the same need for perfection because it's new. It's the first time you've ever done it. And if you do still feel that need for perfection, it is time to bring that in check. Give yourself a break. Allow yourself to mess up and not be perfect every single day. Combine this opportunity to try a new creative medium with creating bad art. This isn't something you're gonna sell or share with anyone. It's entirely yours. You don't have to show a soul. It's time for you to create the worst flower pot the world has ever seen, and you're gonna have fun doing it. Reorganize your schedule. If you have one, rework it. If you don't, maybe it's worth giving it a try. It could help you to learn to give yourself boundaries, which, let's be honest, so many of us struggle with. Try to become aware of when it is that you start to feel overwhelmed. For me, I feel it when I put my deadlines too close together, because I'll always put them off until I'm really close to the deadline, and then I'll have loads of things to do because all my deadlines are on the same day. I also know that if I have a big project, I need to give myself time to recover afterwards. So for me, it's very important to factor that recovery time into my schedule. I want you to create a week-long schedule for when it's time for you to jump back into creating. And I want you to include at least 2 full rest days. If you have any deadlines, try to spread them out a little. You can create temporary deadlines, create your own personal deadlines a little bit before the final deadline comes up, just to give yourself a bit more of a spread out schedule. And finally, when you feel the drive to create again, take breaks. It's so easy to feel the desire to completely throw yourself back in feet first, but that is only going to take you back in a full circle right back to burnout. Pace yourself. Breaks are so important as a preventative measure too. The path from burnout to creating again needs to be a slow one. Take time and allow yourself to feel that joy again. Going slowly is what's going to allow you to find your own pace and your space to create. You've got this. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. I hope this helped. If you want to learn a little bit more about avoiding burnout, there's a great video on Kofi's YouTube channel at the moment talking about avoiding creator burnout, and I'll pop the link in the description for that. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more art-related videos from me in the new year, be sure to drop me a like and subscribe. And be sure to join the newsletter if you want to grab one of these super cute crochet hoods. Have a wonderful new year. Bye!